Good morning. So I'm thinking about final exams today. We're heading towards the end of the year, right? And I'm thinking, how can we assess what the students have really learned this year without punishing them for what they haven't? You know, it's been a tough year. We want to make sure we create a final exam that is fair and yet challenging, that it reflects what they have learned and maybe not punishes them for what they didn't. So I think we need to allow them to shine. It has been such an exceptional year in so many different ways, right? We want to celebrate that we got here. We want to see what everything that they've done, make them feel proud of, a lot of hard work this year. But we don't want to punish them. And on top of it, all of the materials that you have probably ready to go for a final exam don't really apply for this year because either you didn't teach as much as you normally do, you probably taught it in a different way, there was different emphasis since you were doing it half online and half in person. So we need to come up with something creative and new, right? I know. So how can we do this? Well, stick with me I'm hoping it'll be about 10-15 minutes video today, a little live session if you're live with me, or a video session that you maybe catch online. And I'm going to give you some very specific ideas to some projects that you can do. So that's exactly what I wanted to focus on right here, is that this year I want them to be more project oriented. I want the students to create something original, something new. We're not going to just have them study the material, memorize it, answer some questions. It's not going to be just your basic written final exam like it normally is, for all the reasons I already said, right? So if we want them to produce something original, we need to have a couple of different project ideas. The best part about these types of ideas is that not only is it like a higher level thinking type of a project, they're not just responding to a question, they're producing something original, but it virtually eliminates the problem with cheating, right? So that's the best part is they can't really copy somebody else. They're not really, I don't know, hiding some notes somewhere because they're looking to just kind of cheat on the exam. I know we don't like to talk about that, but let's face it, it's a concern. It always has been. And so if we don't ask just really specific small questions, then we can focus on them creating something new and original. So let me give you a couple of ideas as to what I think are great final exam projects for each of the students to do, either individually or in groups. Let's start. 1, student portfolios. Great idea. It could portfolio. I think generally we tend to think of those as being multi-year projects. Like they start a portfolio in first grade and they don't finish until sixth grade, or we start it in ninth grade and we finish it in 12th grade. But it doesn't have to be like that. A portfolio could just be a group of examples of what they've learned over this year, or maybe even just over this semester. The idea is that you want to have them pick examples of their work. It doesn't have to be everything that they've done. It's just examples of their work for, like I said, the year or for the semester. I'm going to talk about which technology to use for a portfolio in just a minute or two. Let me just give you the idea first, is that they find some examples of what they have done, and then they basically need to, 1, describe what the work is, just give a quick summary as to what the assignment was and what they did and what they did well. 2, what they could improve upon if they were to do it over again. And then 3, what they still want to learn about this particular topic. So have them answer or reflect upon those 3 things for each one of the examples that they choose. Sometimes teachers like to include examples of their own of the student's work, like they upload something to the student portfolio, which you could do too, but it doesn't have to be. It could be just the students doing it alone. So, and like I said, if you want to do this as a multi-year project, that's great, but it doesn't have to be. The other quick idea I have for this that I love, so make a note for next year, is to, at the beginning of the year, assign some small writing project, like maybe a paragraph or a little bit longer, depending on the age of the student. Assign something for them to write about in September. Collect it, keep it. Don't tell them you're going to keep it. And then assign the exact same thing in June and have them reflect upon the differences between one and the other. It's a great they love it because they can really see how far they've come. And it's a great way to something else to include in the portfolio. So that's one. Now, what technology do I suggest that you use? One, the best one I think out there is Seesaw. That's the name of it, Seesaw. It's an app and it's a website, and it works on every different device that you can imagine. And the best thing about Seesaw is that a teacher creates a classroom, puts all their students in the class, kind of like a Google Classroom in that sense. It kind of looks a little bit the same. But then that one class there is where the teacher can find all of the student portfolios. The teacher could add to the portfolio, and the student can add to the portfolio. But the teacher can see all of the portfolios, but the students can only see theirs. So that's a huge advantage. Seesaw has a free version, which is great especially if you're just doing it for a 1-year project. If you start to want it to be a multi-year project with different teachers and different students and different groups, then you really need the paid version. But to start off with, especially to try it, you could definitely do the free version and you're going to love it. One side note. Seesaw, like when I just suggested this to a friend of mine, she teaches high school, and she was like, wait a second. Seesaw is what my son uses in kindergarten. I'm like, yeah, I know. So it definitely does have an interface that looks like it's made for little kids, like little kids, like kindergarten or elementary school. But don't let it fool you. Just because it has this very simple kind of, cutesy little interface doesn't mean that it's not a powerful tool. And maybe it's even better. It's one less thing that everybody's got to learn, some type of complicated, app or whatever for them to learn. So it's very simple to upload a photo, a video, a note. It actually looks like a little notepad. You can create a voiceover on top of your photo or your notes or your video. It's super easy to use, and like I said, a really simple interface. So you may be surprised if you're teaching high school and you go there and you're like, what is this? But trust me, it's a great, very simple, easy to use, and free tool. But if you don't want to go the Seesaw route, you could use Google Slides and have each slide be a separate piece of evidence of their work. You could use something like Book Creator. Book Creator is a digital book service, and it's also a very simple interface. It kind of looks like it's for elementary school, but it's a very powerful tool. And there's another one called Bulb that I have never used, but I know that a lot of people do use it, and it's specifically a digital tool for portfolios. Okay, so that's my portfolio idea. The one thing I want to say is whatever type of project that you are creating, you definitely need to give them clear expectations as to what you're looking for. So the best way to show them your expectations is to give them an example. But if it's the first year you're doing them, very often you don't have an example yet. You could create something of your own that, it's a good way to get to know the software, you create something. But you don't have to. What you definitely need to do, though, is give them a specific list. Like, you need to have 10 work examples from 5 different units. You need to have 1 voiceover, 1 textual comment, and 1 annotation on top of a photo. It needs to be X amount of length. You have to be really specific. Don't just say, create a portfolio, because that's just not enough indication for the students, right? Okay, so clear expectations. Digital portfolios are a great way for the students to show you what they've learned. All right, what's another example? What's another creative final exam idea? How about some video projects? Now, I know video is really common, and you tend to think of it as being like a summary of a topic, right? But it can be so much more than that. A video project could be like a story. I used to have my students in high school create a whole script in Spanish first. I'd correct the script before they memorized anything, because I didn't want them memorizing the wrong words, Correct the Spanish so that then they kind of memorize it. They have a little bit of a cheat sheet on the side too, which is fine. create some costumes, maybe create a little scene for them to do it, and then they can all work in together as a group to create a story. Sometimes the stories were based on a TV show or a movie. Sometimes they were based on a story that we read in class. Just anything anything for them to create something unique, something of their own. Right? But you don't have to do a story. You could have them do a little bit of like a research project. And the research project would be, kind of in video format rather than in written format. You could do some type of tour, like any type of thing where the student is taking you step by step through a process, or maybe literally a physical tour of a factory or a plant that is producing a product related to your topic. Or you could do a guide around their house or around their communities. Anything that has to do with geography is great. Anything that's situational is a great setting for a video. What about an interview? You could have them interview people like who are professionals in their field, either by Skype or in person. You could have them interview an elected official, the mayor, or a congressperson. You could have them interview a family member about a topic related to culture or history. There's lots of different ways that people can appear on video, and then it's fascinating to watch, and you can put it on some type of generalized website, and that way everybody can watch each other's videos. It's a great way to have the students express themselves, to appear. It's wonderful for both their writing skills, their speaking skills, as well as their research skills about the specific topic of the video. But again, whatever you assign, you need to make sure that you give them very clear expectations. For the video projects, I used to say, remember kids, that you're being assessed on not only how well you speak on the video, but the content of the video and the presentation aspects. I once had it one year, these poor kids, they videotaped something without testing the video first. So they just went and they videotaped the entire movie, and the entire movie had their heads cut off. Oh, it was so bad, the poor things. It was only like from their mouth down. And so, clearly their video itself was great, but I couldn't see anybody. So, make sure that they do a test video, that they write a script, and that you check it first. And then, maybe you want to say their video needs to be between 5 and 10 minutes, and that everybody needs to speak, and that you need to have 10 vocabulary words, or you need to make sure that each person, for me, it was Spanish class, so each group member needs to appear on camera and actually speak. Whatever it may be, make sure you have a very clear rubric for them so that they know what you're looking for and that they can perform well and feel really proud about what they've done. It's not a trick. It's not something to punish them, and they don't work super hard on something and then it doesn't turn out, so that's really important. Okay, so video project was the second idea for a final exam project. And then the last idea is one of my favorites. I did this for a couple years in a row, and I really enjoyed the process. Instead of you writing a final exam, you're going to have the students write their own written final exam. Okay, so this came out of this one year that I wrote an exam, and my students brought up to me like, but ma'am, why, Miss Maggie, they used to call me Miss Maggie, why did you do it this way? Because it was confusing. And I said, oh my gosh, I worked so hard on this and I didn't mean to confuse you. You always want your exam to be challenging and yet not too easy. And yet you don't want it to be too challenging and unfair. And you want to, you know what I'm talking about, right? That writing a final exam is hard. It's really hard to make sure it's challenging yet fair. So I said, okay, how about you guys write the exam? So I told them exactly what I was looking for. I wanted, let's say, 5 multiple choice questions, 5 fill in the blank questions, 3 short answer essays, 3 like paragraphs for essays. It has to cover, you can say it could be 1 unit or 3 units, whatever you want to do, or 3 chapters of your book, whatever you want it to do. And then they need to turn in a blank copy of the exam, and then turn in a fully filled out copy of the exam so that that they know what the answers are to all of their questions. It's a great way for them to realize, A, what it's like to write an exam. B, it shows that they know the content clearly, and C, it's a lot less work for you, and then you've got some great examples for next year. The other thing I know a lot of teachers who have done have used this technique is they have another student take the exam of the other student. Do you know what I mean? They all switch exams at the end, and you could do that too. So those are my three basic ideas for really wonderful, meaty projects. One is a portfolio. Two is all different types of digital, video projects. And three is having them write their own digital exam. Their own written exam. Sorry, I was thinking digital because what I wanted to share with you too is that if you would like more information about this specific topic, you can click on that live link right down below. That link will take you to a blog post that I wrote that is all about this topic as well as other ideas as well that might help you kind of read over the information and look at it and see what you think is best for you. That's on my website. There's all kinds of other free information there too. Like little free resources or different blogs that I think might be helpful for you. And speaking of free resources, I have a brand new free resource that I'm really excited about for anybody who is heading into the end of their year and they're using Google Classroom and you maybe want to wrap it up right. I created a free resource that is a checklist to help you make sure that you wrap up your Google Classroom well, so that A, you don't lose anything. B, you take your students out of the class so that they don't continue to have access to all of your resources and send it on to another student next year. And then also to make sure that you're all ready for that exact same class next year. So it's a kind of a resource to help you make sure that you have organized all of your resources, but that you're ready to go for next year. So again, that bit.ly link is live. You can just click on it or go to my website and you can find it there too. Or on my social media, Instagram, I'm Brennan-Consulting. And on Facebook, which is where you are now, it's Brennan Educational Consulting. That's me. So thanks everybody for coming today. I hope you've learned something. I hope it was interesting. If anybody has any comments or any questions, please feel free to write it in the chat or down below in the wherever it's posted. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. I'm here for you. So just let me know, everybody. Thanks again. Good luck with your final exams. We're heading towards the end of the year. We're almost there. Just a few more weeks, everybody. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.